Good evening and welcome back to the Franchise Time Machine. This is going to be episode 15, and we are going to be revisiting our ongoing experiment where we send the 1986 Mets back to replace historic Mets teams of the past. One of the really good things about the experiment we'll be running tonight is since we last did one of these Mets, 86 Mets experiments, I've learned a lot about how to do the Sims better in a cleaner way so that the AI will keep its hands off of our lineups and rosters. Even though I've been running Sims in OOTP for over a decade, I learned over the past few days in particular, as one of our other experiments where we gathered all the best rookie seasons of the past into 2023, we found that the AI was doing a lot of stuff we didn't want, and so we dug into it and figured out how to prevent that from happening. So if you want to do historic simulations, hey, Ezra Denny rating in, thank you so much. Welcome to the Franchise Time Machine. So what we're doing tonight is the next edition of the 1986 Mets being sent back in time to the 1960s. Usually to replace terrible Mets teams, but in this case, we'll be replacing a World Championship 1969 Mets team. The previous episode, if you want to do historic simulations like this and want to bring in a bunch of players, I would recommend you check out episode 14. It has everything we've learned in the past few days on how to do the sims quickly and cleanly without any interruptions and without the AI changing stuff. Um, in the past, the way I knew how to do that was to do not disturb mode. But if you do not disturb mode, and here I'll actually put the game up because I'll show you the part of the screen. It basically tells you it's going to screw up your stuff. Um, but if you don't do not disturb mode, it keeps interrupting your simulation with things like trade requests, injury notifications, things like that. So let's go to my game screen here in a second, where I was previously watching two of my teams make it to the quarterfinal of the 6L. Um, where's my game? Okay, so we'll just go ahead and start a new game. Actually, it'll be easier if I show you in the current save so I can show you quickly, and then we'll set up the new game. So this is a save from the end of that simulation from episode 14 where everything went really smoothly. And the final check was we looked at the rosters at the end of the season. The AI had not touched it. We looked at the batting and pitching stats. There were no unexpected players. And we did the simulation without any interruptions. So here's the screen under manager options. I used to always check this do not disturb box because I didn't want to like sim a month, but then have to have the simulation get interrupted every day or two because of these events that would happen. But if you look in the fine print under do not disturb, it says the AI will ignore trade offers but make necessary transactions like signing free agents or making draft picks. It will also set the lineups, depth charts, pitching staff, and handle minor league transactions. So even if here on the right hand side, you've made the human manager in charge of everything, including lineups. Hey, who trying to ball? First time chatter? Yep. First time hanging out here. Welcome. I hope you like it. We do all kinds of different historic simulations. Right now, we're going to do the 86 Mets replacing the 69 Mets to see what happens. We've also done most recently the best rookie seasons of all time and brought them together in 2023. I think they won something like 143 games or something. It was quite quite a season. But in the course of doing that, the first time we did it, these random players ended up on our roster. So at the end, I'm looking at all these stats and I see like Josh Gibson, um, Shohei Ohtani, and then who's this Pablo Reyes? I don't know this person. He should not be on our roster. And then same in the pitching staff, there was a Ryan Barucki who was added in there. And so what we figured out was during a September roster expansion, the AI was adding players from, I guess, from the free agent pool because they were players from 2023. So while we wanted the functionality of the do not disturb, we didn't want it overriding all this stuff on the right side, but we wanted human manager control, especially the lineups in the roster. So I don't know if this menu under here is new, the exit autoplay, but you can essentially recreate do not disturb by unchecking all these boxes. The defaults for most of them were checked. So once we uncheck these, we're basically recreating do not disturb without enabling the AI to take over. And so once we ran it that way, it was great. No interruptions. And then on the roster and lineup side, no changes. This will be especially important for the Mets because there are a couple of platoons that the Mets ran and a couple of so for example, Len Dykstra and Mookie Wilson platoon in center field. The AI kept splitting them up and starting Len Dykstra in center field and Mookie Wilson in left field and benching George Foster. Um, so I didn't want that. I wanted to be like as close to historic 1986 Mets rosters and play as possible. The other thing it kept doing was Rafael Santana was the starting shortstop for the Mets. I think he hit like 218, and it's not like he was dazzling in defense, but his defense was solid. He was a hole in the lineup, but it was what it was. But the AI kept replacing him with Kevin Mitchell, who was an upcoming prospect at the time. You know what kind of career he wanted on to have, and he played infield and outfield. So the AI kept replacing uh, Rafael Santana with Kevin Mitchell. So I didn't want that because I wanted to see like kind of what a reasonably realistic representation of the 86 Mets would do back in these historic seasons. So now we can do that without the AI messing things up. So we're going to run the 69 Mets with all that new knowledge. I think the sims will be a lot cleaner. In fact, I know they will be. And I'm also thinking of going back and redoing some of the past seasons. But for tonight, we're going to just do 1969. So here's what we're going to be looking at. In 1969, the Mets went 162 after losing 100 games most of the previous seasons. Finished first in the NL East. This is also the first year of divisional play. So through 1968, there was just regular season and then World Series. So this will be the first year there's an NL East and NL West. The Mets finished first, eight games ahead of Chicago, and then went on to beat the Orioles 4 games to 1 in the World Series. And that was a pretty strong Orioles team too. In fact, Dr. Dynastic is doing his 64, and I believe that 69 Orioles team it has made it to the final. So it's a very good team that the Mets managed to beat. Normally I do a couple of seasons. I thought tonight what I would do is, since we're replacing a World Series team, I also want to see how we might do relative to the World Series team. So I want to do another simulation where I take the Mets and replace the last place team in the American League, which would be Cleveland. They finished 62 and 99. Even in a six-team division, they managed to finish 64 and a half games behind Baltimore. So my hope there is we'll have a few battles with Baltimore during the regular season, and then hopefully beat out all the American League contenders to face the 69 Mets in the World Series. And then the other simulation I want to do is put the 86 Mets in the National League along with the 69 Mets. So there I thought I would replace the last place team in the National League, which were the Montreal Expos, who were 52 and 110, an expansion team, last in the NL East, 48 games behind the Mets. So then we'll have the Mets playing the Mets in the regular season, and then possibly going on to the World Series where they might face the 69 Orioles. So a few different variations on running the 69 season. That's what I'm going to be doing tonight. The way I do it is the easiest way I've found is I can do a mass import of the players. So I looked up all the BREF player IDs previously. I want all the stats from 86. And then this NYNM designation means they're going to go into the Mets roster. So we're just going to use this and go ahead and start simulation. So let me open that up. So time to start a new game. Historical. We are looking for Baseball Boom 1969. One of the things, I don't think it'll be an issue with 1969 Mets simulation, but in that rookie simulation, we had some Negro League players, and their data didn't come through unless I imported the complete history and imported the minor leagues. So I think just in case, I'm going to do the complete history. I'm going to just make that my default from now on. So I have a checklist I use for these simulations. I'll share it with you here real quickly. Also, probably make sure I do it right. Um, where is my checklist? Sorry, y'all. I'm new to streaming, so I'm trying within OBS. I'm trying to find the page I want to show you here. Oh, here it is. Checklist. Okay, so I want real historic transactions off, injuries off, all-star popularity influence off. So here are the reasons why. If you don't turn off historic transactions, we'll have a bunch of players that the 69 Mets acquired showing up on our roster. I don't want that to happen. I'm going to turn injuries off because I want the team to play through the season in its current incarnation. And also, I don't want to have to import a reserve roster too, because if you get injuries and you have a reserve, then it's going to start pulling players from 1969 onto your team. And then the reason I do the All Star Popularity Influence, this is not necessary for a complete clean simulation, but I like to see how our team does in the All Star voting. When you bring in players from a different time period, import them into your simulation, whatever that year is, their popularity defaults to 0. And I didn't realize this, so I started doing these sims on the stream. So by turning the popular influence off, the All Star voting becomes just a function of their performance during the season. And so hopefully some of our players will get voted onto the All Star team or selected by the managers. And then the do not disturb setting, I kind of showed you how I do that the new way. And then the mailbox, I try to streamline it because I don't want a ton of mail, but I do want the notifications for All Star voting, All Star roster selections, and postseason awards. So we'll do all those um, settings checks. So the default here is historic transactions are off, so we're going to just leave it there. Because of the issues we had with the other sims, I am going to now import real minor leagues as a default. But I'm going to turn off expansion. I don't, not that it would happen, not that it's important in a 1-year sim, but just in case, I'm going to turn that off. And then we're ready to move on to the next steps. Okay, so we're going to call this experiment 1, 6, Mets to 1969, and I'm going to call this version 1. Version 1 is we're going to replace the 69 Mets. All right, Brent, have a good night. Thanks for joining. Good seeing you. And I will play commissioner mode. It cannot be fired. All right, setting up the league now. So here are kind of the steps. I built this checklist. It's kind of the next level up from what you saw before to the pre-flight checklist. this is just in general, how do you do this? So we build our roster, and I showed you that um, text file that has all the player information. So that was built in the past, so that's already done. Um, Maybe I can show you again, just as a reminder. Right, that's this. I built my roster. I was building the roster. Hey, V Trudell, welcome to the stream. Welcome to Franchise Time Machine. So we built a roster. We're starting our season with the right settings. Now we're going to import and edit our players. But there's no need to edit this team because the historic data is accurate and correct. This was an issue with some of the Negro League players we're trying to import into 2023 for that all-time rookie season sim. And then we'll adjust our settings, and then we'll be ready to run. You know what? There's a step I should add in here. It's adjust our settings, but also our lineups, and then we'll be ready to run. So the game is still chewing on the startup. This always takes a little bit of time. I think it does take longer because I imported the full history and the minor leagues, but I think it's important we do that based on what we learned in the last week or so. So V Trudell says the most difficult part for you is getting all the layman IDS on a file to import. I'm not familiar with the layman IDS. Can you explain that? So we're going to go in as the Mets. So one important thing when you do this is that you not add or create a team if it's not necessary, because as soon as you start messing with that, the the game engine will take that as a change to the league, and then it will obsolete the previous historic schedule, and you'll have to create a new schedule. Um, in the past, I'm not such a purist that I was opposed to that, so I did create new schedules, but I'd like to avoid it if possible. And so this new way of how we're doing this will avoid that too. So the first thing we'll want to do is we're going to clear out our roster to make room for our new players, and we don't want the historic players also entering into our season. So we'll go ahead and delete the roster. I'm also going to delete everyone in the 40 man, which is just one other player, and then also everyone in the minors. Because we have injuries turned off, it shouldn't matter. So we'll delete the AAA team, and we'll delete the AA team. These are just kind of extra precautions because of the way we're going to do the settings. I don't think the AI will be free to bring any of these players up anyway, but I'm just doing this out of an abundance of caution. And I'm going to go all the way down to um, the lowest levels of minor leagues. I mean, these players are nowhere near ready for the majors anyway, but since I'm doing this, I just want to be thorough. Oops. So I forgot to check all the players. There we go. Okay. So the 69 Mets are now an empty vessel ready for us to import. And anytime you want to create or bring in players, you would do it through the free agency screen. So we're going to go there in a second, but here's what we're going to do. Prepare our destination. That's what we've done by clearing up the roster. In cases where we're taking over a team, we would also change the three-letter designation to whatever we need it to be to match up with our text file. Or alternatively, you can change your text file to match up with the three-letter destination of the team. But in any case, you want to probably clear out players and change team names, whatever you want to do. You can change team names and abbreviations without the game engine thinking you need a new schedule. It's only if you create or delete teams. So we're going to go to the free agent page, and I'll show you all this in the game. You go to Actions, Import Historical Players. The database we're going to pull from is historical underscore database. And then I'll show you the two different ways you can bring in players. All right, so here we go. Looking for the free agent screen. Now, if you ever want to like make up fictional players, this is how you would do it here too. This first pull down is create fictional players. So V Trudell, you're trying to update the all-time greatest quick start to 2023 and repairing the roster errors that quick start had. Oh, interesting. I have not used any of the quick starts, so I'm not familiar with those at all. Um, but based on what you're saying, that sounds interesting. I'm going to check those out at some point. Um, so I do some sims too where I put myself and my friends into the major leagues as first as prospects, and I make ourselves really good. So of course we end up in the majors. I do that doing using this create fictional players. But tonight we'll be doing importing historical players. So here's the database we're selecting, historical database ODB. And then here are the two ways you can do it. Up at the top here, you can enter in each player ID and the season stats you want to pull in. Of course, for this one, we'd have to do that 26 times. I would much rather do that work in advance and then click here to select the file. Oh, this is a temp folder. So every so often, this file disappears. So I'm going to go ahead and save it again. And then in OTP, usually you have to kind of redo the menu for any new changes to show up. So now you see I closed the menu and I canceled and reopened it. Now the 1986 Mets roster is showing up. So instead of 26 separate ID transactions, we're going to do one transaction here and it should pull in all 26 players. Featured L is a quick start menu. Is that where I think I heard there's like a 1994 quick start? You can finish out the strike shortened 94 season. It sounded like those are the kinds of things that sit in that quick start. I'm also going to check that out because I want to see who OTP has in their all time greatest because I'm also going to do an all time greatest. One will be based on the all time greatest lineups I used to write on my book covers in school when I was in junior high school. I think I remember everyone I would have had on that list, and then I'm going to do one which would be the all time greatest team I would select now. So the reason this import's taking a little bit longer is because we have that minor league box checked. Oh, it only pulled in 26. That's interesting. Oh, I wonder if in 86 the Mets only had a 25-man roster. That might be it. I think 26 might have been an expansion that happened during COVID. Um, okay, I think that's fine. We'll move ahead with the 25. Um, I'm just going to go to that notepad file and I'm just going to, here, I'll put you so you can just follow along with what I'm doing, but I'm just going to count these and see. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, okay, so we did not lose anyone. It was a 25-man roster. So we are good to go. That's a really easy initial check. It tells you how many players it imported. Now, if we had not put, just as a reminder, if we had not put NYM here, right, because we did, it's going to put it right into the Mets roster. If we hadn't, those players would now show up in this free agent pool. So they would come into 2023 and show up as free agents if you don't give them a destination. So now we'll go to our roster and make sure they're there. There we go. There are the 86 Mets in 1969. And then I usually let the AI select or set the pitching staff, and then I make some adjustments to make it a little more reflective of the season. So I'm going to move Dwight Gooden up to the number one spot. Sometimes the AI puts someone else in the five spot, like Ed Lynch, but I always think of Rick Aguilera as the number five kind of swingman starter that season, so I'm glad he's there. And then the other thing I do is the AI seems to want to put Roger McDowell as a stopper and Orozco as a setup. I like to see what happens if we put them as co-closers, and this will be the first time, and also as a secondary role as kind of co-setups. Because at least what I remember from that season is Davey Johnson, who was the manager, would use them kind of purely based on righty lefty matchups to decide who would kind of close out the game or come in to set up. So I'm going to try to recreate that. Now this will be the first time we really get to see how this plays out because before I was using that. Um, I want to say incorrect, but that's kind of suboptimal do not disturb method where the AI could control the lineup. So it kept undoing these changes. I'm kind of curious to see how it works out if since it's going to leave it as these dual co-closers, co-backups setups. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that works out. And then on the lineups, I'm going to do the same thing, but then I'm going to go ahead and incorporate all the different platoons that I remember. So, for example, uh, in the leadoff spot, it was Len Dykstra platooning with Mookie Wilson. So I'm going to put Mookie Wilson versus lefties in center field. You can see this blanked out because the AI initially had Mookie Wilson playing left field. And in that left field spot, I'm going to put in George Foster. Now, George Foster was a fearsome slugger in his Cincinnati days, but was pretty well past his prime when he was playing for the Mets in 1986. So that's why the AI kept replacing him. We also had a platoon at third base. Howard Johnson played against righties at third base, and Ray Knight played against lefties. And I'm going to move them ahead of Foster, even though I do. Well, you know what? Maybe I'll leave it. Let me just leave it for now. I'm going to move Gary Carter up. And then the other platoon I need to fix is Wally Backman, Tim Tuffle. Tim Tuffle started versus lefties. Okay, so in the past, I would do this and then the AI would undo it as soon as the season started because it was in do not disturb mode. Now it should retain this. And then because we changed the starting lineups, here I'll show you. If you go to the visual, this is the easiest way to kind of see what's going on, especially versus lefties. Like there's no backups in some places, or some of the backups are missing because we put them in the starting lineup. So I'm just gonna have the AI now generate depth charts. So if you just do the depth charts, it won't touch your starting lineups, but it will do all of the things like the pinch runners, the backup fielders. Right, these are now messed up because, or especially versus lefties, they'll be messed up. See, like there are all these empty spots because I move players off the bench. So if you go back to that lineup screen, you can have it just do the backup stuff and not the starting lineups. It's a pretty handy tool. Okay, so our lineups are set, our pitching staff is set. Now, if we go back to our checklist, I know I'm going to forget something if I don't use this. Okay, let's make sure injuries are off, and let's make sure that all-star popularity influence is off. So where you find those things are under game settings. You can see across here, there's these menus. Most of these are going to be under league settings, although I think the first one is under team, players and team. This first box, enable injuries, we're going to uncheck that so we have no injuries. Now that means the 86 Mets won't get injured, so we don't have to go to reserve. Unfortunately, it also means I think that the rest of the league won't have injuries either. But um, I'm okay with that. I'm just realized now a way around that would be to leave injuries on and then go in and make all the Mets injuries zero in editor. Um, I might do that in the future if I want to have a little more realism across the rest of the league. But I also don't like the idea of like our team staying completely intact and then other teams having injuries left and right. So I'm going to use this method for now. And then the all-star settings are under league settings. While there are all these menus here, this is the only menu I believe that has this new bar of submenus that shows up. And the one we want is for options. And take the all-star popularity, influence, and also to none. And then if we were going to be changing the name of the team or anything like we did for that all rookie team, you would do that here under edit league structure. You can change the names of teams. You can add and remove teams and so on. Okay, so I think other than the mailbox now, we're ready to go. So let me just open the mailbox. We want to make sure we get those all-star and postseason award notifications. So I'm going to bring in everything, but then uncheck all the different kinds except for major awards and general league news. All right, we're ready to go. I think. Yeah, I think we did everything. Okay. All right. And then I like to do my sims from the standings page so we can see the teams move up and down. We're already in April 5th, so we'll go ahead and do a month. And then what you'll see pop up on the left and right edges of the screen are the league leaders and offensive categories. And anything with the RD6 Mets will be highlighted in yellow. Starting off the sim here takes a little bit of time because it's chewing through all the. Okay, why am I getting messages? I specifically turned these off. This did not happen with our last sim, so maybe we uncovered another issue here. Oh, I didn't do all the checking. Okay, see this is great. That interruption for that personal message is a great example. I was trying to simulate a month. It stopped it after a day because I got a personal message. I have to uncheck these to make it a de facto do not disturb without enabling the AI to change things. So now we are in this kind of de facto do not disturb mode. All right. I'm actually kind of glad that happened because you got to see how annoying that can be. All right, now we're going to do a month. It should not stop us at all. Then here we go. Nice and smooth sim. And the NL East is pretty tight, so we've been bouncing up and down a little bit. So we had a 7-game on base streak by Len Dykstra and a 6 consecutive hit streak by Dallas Strawberry. That's not 6 games with hits in a row, it's 6 hits in a row. All right, so we are 13 and 10, 2 games behind the Pirates in the NL East. And the Orioles, who we faced in the real 1979 World Series, they are in first place by 2 games already in the AL East. All right, I'm going to do another month. All right, they were at the top of the division. Now we're in second place, back at the top again. Second place. It's very tight up there. Down to third. All right, we had Len Dykstra win a Player of the Week award. And the Orioles now 5 games ahead in the AL East. All right, so we're now at June 1st. So usually at this point, I sim to the announcement of the All-Star teams, which is in early July. But you can see how nice and smooth the sim is going, and you'll see at the end when we look at the stats, it is doing all this without without the AI touching our lineups and stuff. Before there was, before using this method, I was often having to choose one or the other. I think one reason I didn't come up that often was when I was simming the leagues, like where I put my friends and I in the majors, I wanted to see every game. So I wasn't doing a speed sim. So it didn't really come up as an issue. All right, let's see. Bobby Ojeda, pitcher of the month. An 8 game, an 8 quality start streak by Dwight Gooden, and a 9 quality start streak also by Bobby Ojeda. Okay, we are at All-Star announcements, so let's go see what those look like. Where are the? Hmm. We should be at All-Star announcements, but I'm not seeing them in our inbox. Oh, I see. All these things came in today for some reason, so the voting stuff is here. It was just buried under a bunch of messages that I thought would have been suppressed. But anyway, here are the NL fan voting results. Wally Backman, second base, leading vote getter. This is something we've learned by doing these sims. The simulation engine loves Wally Backman. He did hit 320 this year. I mean, he's nowhere near a 320 career hitter, but the simulation engine is using the attributes that reflect the 320 season, and so he usually crushes it. That's it in the first screen. So yeah, so I'm not surprised we only have one position player in the top three in the All-Star voting. Usually we get one or two pitchers in the top five here, but we don't have that. So that's a little disappointing. I'm going to copy this and paste it into a document. I just like to keep records of all our sims. So here's the All-Star voting, and then we'll get the All-Star roster. This is where the AI manager might add some Mets who did not lead in vote getting. So all the leading vote getters have asterisks, and everyone else added does not. So Backman was in by voting. This is the first time this has happened. We only have one All-Star starter, and no one added by the AI manager. That's pretty disappointing. I might do. I usually I wait till the end of the season to look at the stats, but I might take a quick look because it's so unusual that this happened. So let's look at the pitching stats. Yeah, I mean, usually Dwight Gooden is our best candidate, followed by Sid Fernandez. El Cid, at 11-4 with a 2.66 ERA. I'm kind of surprised he didn't get selected. Um, but Gooden at 6-9. I mean, there's no way he was going to get selected. This is interesting. It's also a continuation of a theme that started in the 1967 sim, where the Mets dominated, especially their starting pitching dominated. But then as we got into the era of the pitcher, like 1968 was the season Bob Gibson had that insane year. So 67, 68, 69, the league pitching in general was much better. And I think the 86 Mets have suffered as the league pitching got better. The 86 Mets, I think, were less differentiated, and so have kind of fallen closer to the pack. And then let's see what happened on the batting side. We didn't get any All Stars here, so I have it sorted by OPS. You can see Kevin Mitchell is still getting a lot of plate appearances, which I don't love, but at least Rafael Santana is getting the bulk of the starts, so that's good. And he's hitting 195. I think when you translate his 218 in 1986 to so close to the year of the pitcher, I think that 195 probably makes sense, unfortunately. But yeah, none of our usual All Star candidates like Keith Hernandez, Len Dykstra, uh, are having any kind of season that would warrant All Star selection. So yeah, it looks like the voting is correct. It's just we're not performing well. Well, let me rephrase that. We're performing well. We're in third place. Well, okay, no, check that. We're not performing well. If you look at the standings, we are 11 and a half games back. So, yeah, this is the first sim where we've done this poorly. So we'll see how this plays out. Let's go to this. Oh, yeah. So what happens if you go to a date? It doesn't sim the date. So then you then have to sim the day. Finish today. Now we'll be an All-Star weekend. And hey, Nolan Network Podcast is in the chat. Baltimore's on an all-time pace. You are correct. Yep, they've been leading the AL East the whole time, and they have a 735 win percentage. I do kind of want to see what happens in the home run challenge, so let's watch that. Do we have anyone on here? Nope. Oh, no, 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 not this way. Um, well, I guess we'll just sim the player. I was just hoping to sim it from the standing screen. So they tie. What happens when they tie? Oh, I think maybe their totals just go in against the pool, and then the top players in the pool move on. So let's. I guess you got to go. Okay, Jim Hickman had 8. Whoa, 16. And oh, Rico Petrocelli's card I really like in Perfect Team too. I end up playing him a lot, especially in drafts. All right, Frank Howard is next. 16 is the number to beat so far. 13 by Frank Howard. Let's see. Yastrzemski's in with 7. 7 for Al Oliver. Killerbrews got a great card too in the game right now. 14. Oh, this is the second round now, I guess. Wow, another 16. Rico turned in a great performance. 12 by Frank Howard. 7. Oh, that's pretty weak, Harmon. All right, well, that was fun. I'm a little disappointed none of our 86 Mets got into that, but based on their seasons we're having, it makes sense. All right, so now let's sim to the All Star game. Oh, no, 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 sorry. I don't want to actually play the game. So let's go to scores. This is an easy way to, if you go to scores, you'll see the game, and then you can hit. And really, all there is, let's see, the AL wins 4-2. Harmon Killebrew 1 for 3 with a home run. Petrocelli 2 for 2 with a double and a run. And then Jim Hickman 2 for 2 with the double in a losing effort. All right, I'm just going to open the box score and see what Wally Backman did. He would be our starting second baseman. Oh no, he was not. He was not the leading vote getter. So Rod Carew started. It looks like he did not get in the game. And unlike all the other teams, we did not have any pitchers in, so there's going to be no Mets in there. That's a bummer. Okay, so no Mets got to play in that All Star game. We'll go back to the standings page and we'll do another month. All right, well, the Orioles keep chugging along. 78-27 with a 743 win percentage. Best percentage in the league by far. And we are now 14 games behind the Pirates. All right, let's sim to roster expansion. Also, the Pirates' magic number is only 49, so we are running out of time here. We got our games behind into single digits for a second there, but it's back up to 13 and a half. Now 14. Orioles right on the cusp of 100 games with a month still left to play. So we will just sim to the end of the regular season. We got it down to single digits games behind, but There's not enough time left, I don't think. All right, Roger McDowell with a 15-game shutdown streak. Well, we did narrow the margin when we finished 7 games behind. We did win 90 games, but nowhere close to a playoff berth there. The Orioles come in with 118 wins, 728 win percentage. I told you at the beginning that it makes it extra amazing that the 69 Mets team won because I do think in hindsight that 69 Orioles team is one of the best historic teams, and I think Dr. Dynastic 64 is bearing that out too. All right, so we will not be in the postseason, but I'm going to screenshot the standings page. And I think maybe I'll look at the stats. Well, let me look at them. Well, actually, wait. I need to finish the season. So again, go to the end of the regular season. We are at the end of the regular season, but we haven't simmed the last day of the regular season. So let's do that. Okay. Darryl Strawberry was a 2020 player. And that's our only achievement this season. And now our standings. These are the final standings. We finished 6 games behind instead of 7. So we did win that last game, and it looks like the Pirates must have lost. All right. Let me take a peek at the stats. Yeah, our pitching staff performed nowhere near as well as they usually do. Let me got this. Again, I was curious to see how Orozco McDowell will perform in that co-closer role. So even though they're designated closers and both secondary um, setup, it does look like the AI leaned heavily towards McDowell. So McDowell had 23 saves to 8 for Orozco. I'm sure part of that was driven by their performance, or maybe just their player profiles. But McDowell had a 1.9 ERA versus 3.65 for Orozco, and their whips were pretty different too. 1.03 for McDowell, 1.31 for Orozco. Starting pitchers. Only one had 200 strikeouts. That's a little unusual too for these Sims. Sid Fernandez with 229. Um, these ERAs are low, but compared to league ERAs, they're probably not that great. Yeah, the ERA pluses are in the low hundreds, and their strikeouts are definitely suppressed compared to what we usually see. And Gooden being below 500, that's the first time I've seen that in a sim. All right, and then on the batting side, the home runs did come around a little bit, but still like low double figures for most of the players. 6 of them hit double digits. But these stats look much more like I was hoping for when I set up the platoons compared to the previous simulation. So this is definitely making me want to resim 1962 through 1968 now that I'm seeing how the new approach to doing the speed sims is producing much cleaner, or at least much more kind of true to, I think, how the 86 Mets were run results. All right, so let me screenshot this. And then we'll finish out the season, see if we win any postseason awards, and then I'll run the other 2 scenarios where we put the Mets in different spots in 1969. I'm a little less enthused about those now because we performed so poorly. I don't think we're going to make a splash now in those other approaches, but we'll see what happens. Let's go to so I like to sim in the playoff tree, especially when we're not in the postseason. We'll sim to the next round of the playoffs. So we've got the Twins and Orioles and the Braves and Pirates. Well, it's closer than I thought. The Orioles beat the Twins 3 games to 2, and then the Pirates beat the Braves 3 games to 2 as well. And then we'll have a best of 7 World Series. I think this one, let's go to the scores page, and we'll just quick play each one. All right, the first game will be the Pirates at the Orioles. Bob Moose against Mike Cuellar. And the Pirates win 3-1. Get seeing much more low scoring games than we did in 62 through 65. Starger went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run in a losing effort. Oh no, in a winning effort. Sorry, the Pirates won. I keep forgetting that. Okay, so the Pirates win 3-1. And then let's go to the next day. This will be Doc Ellis against Jim Palmer. And in 10 innings, the Pirates win again, 5-2. So the Pirates up 2-0 against the 69 Orioles team. There should be a travel day in here. Yep. And here we go, Orioles at Pittsburgh. Bob Gibson against Bob Veal. Gibson 2-0 with a .59 ERA in this postseason so far. And the Orioles win 5-1. Like I said, why is Bob Gibson on the Orioles? Did I miss something here? Wow, during the season, he was traded to the Orioles for Bobby Grich and Terry Crowley. I'm sure that had a lot to do with the Orioles hitting 118 wins. Wow. Now, this has me wondering if I should be trying to shut down trades altogether. Because I do want the other team's historic rosters and lineups to stay pretty true to form too. Although in some seasons the real transactions actually kind of shape the season, so I'm a little torn. This is the first time that I've seen this impactful of a trade happen by the AI. Wow, that's interesting. Bob Gibson got traded in mid-season. Look at this profile too. 75 stuff, 60 movement, 65 home run suppression, 50 P BABIP, 55 control, 70 curveball, and a 70 changeup. Man, that's a nice pitching profile there. All right, well, Bob Gibson helping the Orioles narrow the lead 2 games to 1. Um, Boog Powell went 3 for 5, 2 doubles, 2 RBI, and a run. And we'll move ahead to game 4. Dave McNally pitching against Jim Bunning for the Pirates. And the Orioles tie it up 2 games to 2. I think so far road teams have won every game. That's a little quirk. All right, this should be the last game of the Pirates homestand, and then we'll probably have another travel day. Cuellar against Moose. Ooh, and the Orioles squeak by 1-0 on a 4-hit shutout. I gotta see if Cuellar pitched the whole way. Let's see. Yep, complete game, 4-hit shutout, 4 strikeouts, no walks. That's impressive. All right. Bob Moose pitched well in the losing effort. 6 1/3 innings pitched, 3 hits, no earned, 1 walk, and 9 strikeouts. And Frank Robinson, 2 for 4 with an RBI. The lone RBI. All right, so now Baltimore's leading 3 games to 2. Let's finish today. There'll be a travel day, and then we'll be back in Baltimore. So let's see if they can win the World Series at home. Doc Ellis against Jim Palmer. And the only real slugfest of the series, the Orioles win 10-5 and win the World Series. 2 home runs by Frank Robinson. For Pittsburgh had home runs with Stargell and Clemente. Yeah, I really like these old Sims where all these great names from baseball history pop up in the box scores and stuff. That's great. Clemente went 3 for 3 with a home run, but it looks like the player of the game was Lou Brock. He went 5 for 5, a triple, a home run, two RBIs, and 3 runs. So he got everything for the cycle except that double. All right. So then if we go to the playoff tree and we sim one more day, it should show the World Series trophy. There it is. Congratulations to the 69 Baltimore Orioles. All this stuff does really help put into perspective how unlikely that 69 Mets championship was. Which makes you like it even more. All right, so now we'll go to some postseason awards. So those I like to do from the mailbox. Let me clear all these out so we can see our messages easier. And we will sim to Great Glove Awards. The reason this last bit is taking longer is it's doing all the postseason processing that it does. I was hoping we might see Gumbercules in the chat tonight. He had mentioned that based on seeing how we do these sims, now that he knows how to do them, he had a couple of sims in mind that he might try to do over. I guess they had a 3-day weekend, so I was kind of curious to see if he ran one and how it went. And then the next sim I'm working on is we had a couple ideas that we had already started with the chat, but I think because Father's Day is coming up, I'm going to bump up the priority on that one. I'm going to put together a preliminary list and then bring that into the stream maybe tomorrow or Tuesday. Get some feedback from the chat. Paul Spores also offered to give some feedback, so be curious to see where we end up on that roster. The rules I want to put in place are the father son duos. So sorry, I jumped ahead. So on Father's Day, on or around Father's Day, I want to do a sim where it's a roster of father son uh, major league players, and then send them to 2023. But I want the rules to be that the father sons have to play together. So they both have to be on the roster. So we can't say like Yogi Berra is in because his son Dale played in the majors, but then not have Dale on the roster. So it's going to force us to pick duos, father son duos, where both players were at least pretty good because they're going to be both taking up roster spots. And there's a lot of outfielders. I think some of the other positions will be a little tougher, but given so we may not end up picking the best father son duos because we're going to have some position requirements. But yeah, if you want to join us on Monday or Tuesday, it'd be fun to get some chat input on those rosters. So this is our lowest season score so far. We've got a season score of 651. Just as a point of reference, I think that all rookie team score was in the 1700s. So this is a bit off that pace. Let me get a screenshot of this. For some reason, my screenshotting is not working right now. Let me try one more time. There we go. Okay. I do like that Out of the Park has a built-in screenshot function. It actually works much better and faster than my Windows screenshotting, so I use it all the time. A very nice score, it says. I feel like it's being a little condescending. Okay. So yeah, postseason awards. Let's go to the mailbox. Let's delete out. Put in a few more emails today. Let's delete those out. and sim to the Great Glove Awards. Oh, okay. It did a bunch of postseason roster changing, so I'm glad I screenshotted those stats. That's a mental note. We need to make sure we keep doing that. Keep screenshotting the stats prior to all the postseason processing, because yeah, you can see what happens here, right? It the stats are still intact, but it just looks funky. I don't know why it treats everyone as injured too. And also, I think there's a chance that we may have lost people if they're free agents now. Although it looks like we still have all 25 people. Anyway, I don't want to have to deal with that, so I'm glad I want to keep taking those screenshots at the very end, right when the season ends. Okay, so let's see if we got that email notification. Where are our Great Glove Award winners? Oh, okay. It's forcing me to deal with Leroy Stanton before it'll move forward. Where is Leroy Stanton? Oh, we have these players designated for assignment. Okay. I'm just going to delete these players. Is it not? There we go. Okay. Now it should let me sim to. When you don't care about other seasons because you're just doing a single season sim, I find that just like doing things like just deleting players is the easiest way to deal with it. Um, okay, so let's sim to the Great Glove Awards. All right, Keith Hernandez, congratulations on winning a Great Glove Award. And he is the only one on our team to win one. Let me capture that email. Okay. And then we will go to the next award, Reliever of the Year. Roger Maddell could be in the running for this, but we didn't see an achievement pop up, so he did not win. We know that. And he did not even finish. So Phil Regan with 29 first place votes. 8 and 15 with 22 saves. Now, hold on a second. 8 and 15 with 22 saves. Our guy, come on now. Our guy went 9 and 3 with 23 saves. And a 1.90 ERA, and we didn't finish in the top 5. I call BS on that. And the winner was 8 and 15, 22 saves and a 2.55 ERA. I mean, I know ERA is not all that, but come on. Something's wrong here. All right, well, it is what it is. Copy this, put it into our file. And next award, Platinum Stick Awards. I doubt we'll get any of these. We did not have a very good offensive season. Yeah, we are shut out of these. It is a pitcher season, but a few people did manage to have a good season. Look at Billy Williams hitting 344 with a 544 slugging percentage, 26 home runs, and then Pete Rose hitting 382. That's impressive. Okay, let me copy that. And what's next? Rookie of the Year. Phil Regan. We had no one in the top 5. Okay. Well, I guess when you when you win reliever of the year as a rookie, that puts you in pretty strong contention for rookie of the year. All right, manager of the year. Oh wait, rookie of the year. I was in the wrong stream. Rookie of the year was Coco LeBoy of Montreal. And Len Dykstra finished second, even though he's not a rookie. This is one that just keeps happening. Dykstra was not eligible to be a Rookie of the Award winner in 1986 yet. When we import him, it keeps for some reason making him Rookie of the Year eligible, and he keeps winning it. So, but he did not win it this year. Coco LeBoy with an impressive 19 home runs, 93 RBIs, and 306 average as a rookie in a pitcher's year. Definitely worthy of a Rookie of the Year award there. Dykstra did not get any first place votes, but he finished second in points. All right, so the Manager of the Year award goes to Leo Durocher of the Cubs. So he's one where I only knew Leo Durocher as a manager, Leo the Lip, and in playing Perfect Team was introduced to his card, and I always think it's so cool when I see the people I knew as managers were actually pretty good players. And so Leo the Lip winning the Manager of the Year award for the Cubs. Congratulations. And then we'll move on to the Big Two Cy Young Award. In most of these sims, one of the 86 Mets usually wins this, but not this year. I doubt we'll even be in the top five. Yep, we did not crack the top five. Jim Brewer, the Braves. Oh, hold on. For some reason, it keeps defaulting to that Rookie of the Year, Reliever of the Year email. Okay, this makes more sense. Steve Carlton, NL Cy Young Award winner. He went 17 and 13, 2.33 ERA. 21st place votes, 4 for Phil Niekro of the Braves. Sid Fernandez getting 4 points of votes there near the bottom of the list, but at least he cracked the list. As did Bobby Ojeda with 1 point. So definitely not what we're used to seeing from these 86 Mets, but this is the first time any of our players have showed up in the postseason awards, so guess we'll have to take it. Copy that, and then move on to the MVP. Pete Rose. Mentioned earlier, hit 382, 23 home runs, and 101 RBIs to go with it. He got 20 first place votes. The other first place go to Hank Aaron, Enrico Cardi, and Steve Carlton. But the clear winner in points, Pete Rose over Billy Williams. So I'll copy this. I don't think we had anyone in the top here. Any vote getters on our team. Nope, no vote getters. That's the first time that has happened too. So 1969, a tough year for these 86 Mets. Definitely underperformed the original 69 Mets, and so far the worst performance in the sim to date. All right, I think that's it for the season. No more postseason awards, so I'm going to go ahead and save this. The reason I save these at this point is in case we ever want to go back and look at the stat. Oh, no, 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 no. Uh-oh. Can I back out of this and still save at this point? I don't think I can. Wait, what if I hit escape? It might be too late. I screenshotted everything, but it's always good to be able to go back into the sim if need be. I don't think I can undo that. Let's see if I can still click on something here. Save game. Nope. I don't think it's gonna let me back out of this menu. Oh, cancel. Can I hit cancel? Am I still in? I think I'm still in 1969. Oh, good. Okay. So we're gonna save this real quick. And it almost feels pointless to do those other two sims because those other two versions of 69 assume that, like the other years, the 86 Mets are going to do really well. I don't know. Let me do one of them and see what happens. So this is save, so we can go out. We can start a new game. And so what we're going to do, let me put that slide back up. If I can find it. I think I called it past result. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so we did version 1 here. Version 2 is to replace the 69 in Cleveland team, and the idea was we'd go head to head against the Orioles a bunch of times. I think we're just gonna get our brains beat in by them, but we'll see what happens. So we're not going to use historical transactions. Again, that runs the risk of another Bob Gibson type trade, but we'll have to go with it because I don't want. Well, I wonder which would overpower which. If I turn on historical transactions, but put the human in charge of our trades, I wonder if we could suppress our trades. I think for now, I'm just going to go with this. I might experiment with it offline though, because that's an interesting quirk. Okay, so this will be experiment 01 1969 version 2. Oh, sorry. Here's the game screen. Version 2, we're going to replace Cleveland. And while this. Actually, let me get it started. And then. Another reason to save the Sims is like right now I'm realizing I should have taken a peek at the Orioles stats, and I can do that now. I can go back to that save. Maybe we'll do that after this one. The 118 win season, that's worth looking into. I mean, you add Bob Gibson to that rotation, I'm not surprised that they had a world beating season there. I feel like we got a taste of our own medicine as we play a game called Force Four Trades, where we take a team, ideally one that came close to winning the World Series but didn't, and then we're allowed to force four trades with any other teams for any four players. Feel like we kind of fell victim to a game like that where they got to add Bob Gibson to their team. This will though give us another data point. It will show us if the 86, if it was just a small sample size thing where the Mets just happened to underperform in that sim, or whether this will give us another data point of 1986 Mets playing in 1969, and whether it's just something about this run environment that's just hard on the 86 Mets. While it's chewing on this, I thought I'd bring this back up. So as poorly as the 86 Mets performed compared to expectations in the last sim, I do think we will improve on the 64 and a half games behind the Orioles that Cleveland finished in 1969. So we are going in as, oh, interesting. So even back in 69, it is the Cleveland Guardians. I'm all for that. Now, to make the import simpler, I don't want to have to go in and make 25 edits to that roster document, that text document. So what I'm going to do is right now it's set to import to NYM. So what I'll do is I'm going to change the 69 Mets to NYN for New York National League, and then I will change the Cleveland abbreviation to NYM so that we can just use that document without making a bunch of changes to it. Okay. So here we are. Um, let's go make those changes to the abbreviations. It's under league settings. edit league structure, and we are replacing Cleveland Guardians. And again, these type of edits will not be seen as a disruption of the structure, and so it will still use the original schedule for that year. And we're going to be NYM, but that also means we have to then change the abbreviation for the Mets, so there's no conflict. We'll change that to NYN. Okay, so now this roster was where our import will go. So let's go back to, let's go do all of our other settings we need to do. Players and team, disable injuries, league settings, options, all-star game, not dependent on popularity. Actually, when I do the import, I should show you one of the players, like Darryl Strawberry, how his local and national popularity will be 0 or none when we import him. Okay, I'm a little concerned that it did not change our abbreviation here. So there's some things in Out of the Park that if you don't hit enter, it won't actually process the change. There are a bunch of other things where you don't have to enter. So I'm not sure when that's the case. But, oh, and I don't want pitchers win the MVP award. Okay, so let's go back to league settings. Okay, that did go through. That NYM did go through. I'm going to hit enter just in case. I'm not sure why it's not reflected up here, though. I think, let me go to another team and then come back. Oh, yeah, here's Franchise Time Machine. Perfect. Now, this can get confusing here with the logo, so this will just be real quick. Let's just go ahead and change that logo out. And I've previously put my logo in here, so we can just pull that in. Okay, we won't mess with the colors or anything. Okay, so here we are, NYM. Let's just go back real quick to the checklist. Make sure we're not forgetting anything. Injuries off. Yep, we just have to go to the manager settings and then we're ready to go. So manager options. We're not going to use do not disturb. We're going to create a de facto do not disturb by unchecking all these. Exit autoplay options. And then we're going to minimize our inbox. Okay. I think we're ready to go. Oh, we didn't clear out our rosters. That's our next step. So we did all this stuff, but we need to do all this stuff. Roster document ready to go. We started our season. We're going to import and then adjust our settings. Okay, and our lineups. All right, so let's go clear out our roster. New season, or it's 69 again, but it's as far as this run is, this simulation is concerned, this is a new season, so we need to clear out the roster. And this time around, I'm gonna experiment with just clearing out the major league roster and the secondary. Oh, there's no one in the secondary this time around. That's strange that it's different. But yeah, I'm gonna leave the minor leagues. I based on the other settings, oh shoot, sorry, didn't put the game screen up. So I just deleted the roster. There was no one else on the secondary roster. I'm going to leave the minor leagues intact this time. Based on our settings, I don't think we'll have any problems having them in place. So now let's go to that free agent screen to bring our players in. And import historical players from the historical database. And we're going to use a text file. And this is the whole reason. Right, let me show you the text file again, just as a reminder. And this is the text file we're using. And because I didn't want to change this, I would just want to leave it NYM. That's why we changed the designation of the Cleveland team to NYM. So it'll show up in what used to be the Cleveland roster. All right. So we'll use that text file and we will import players. But while that goes on, I have my other license running on another computer. And I want to see how we're doing in the 6L. I had two teams make the quarterfinal, and I would like to see if we're still in it. The 6L, in case you are not familiar, is the laptop pounds daily. Well, the 5L is the lower level leisure lounge, and the 6L is the late lower level leisure lounge. So it looks like my Georgia Tech on my mind theme team um, entry has been eliminated, but I have another. Yeah, so that team was eliminated in the quarterfinal. But I'm gonna look at the tournament tree. I can't show you this because it would cause the sim to end. So I'm viewing this on another computer. But my low diamond Phillips team did win the quarterfinal matchup and went on to the semifinal, where we have a 3 games to nothing lead over the Fairview Tigers of Mortal Mago. So we may have our first finals appearance in quite a while in the 6L. All right, so 25 players imported successfully. Let's just go to our lineups and set the pitching staff. We'll let the AI do that. Well, this time around, it's interesting. It did put Dwight Gooden in the number 1 spot. It's the same roster. It's the same run environment. So I don't know what's different, but I don't have to make that adjustment. And we're going to go again. I liked how this worked out in the last sim. So we'll go dual closer, dual secondary setup roles. And set our lineups. Again, I was very pleased with how this went relative to previous simulations. It kept our platoons in place. It kept Kevin Mitchell from overriding Rafael Santana's season. Oops. What happened there? I did not mean to take Len Dykstra out of the lineup. Also, I don't like this set. I want to set by position. There we go. This is more how I'm used to seeing lineups. So, all right. So Len Dykstra starts versus righties. Mookie Wilson versus lefty. It's not grabbing Mookie. There we go. Wow, this is a funky. The AI picked a very weird lineup this time around. It's got Ray Knight batting second, which also did not happen. So let's get Tim Tuffle in there. And he would be batting second, not Ray Knight. And then Keith Hernandez at first. Darryl Strawberry was not batting second. We want Wally Backman there. And we'll have Strawberry batting fifth. I inadvertently. Oh, yeah, that's where George Foster is going to go in left field. No, no, not instead of where is Ray Knight? There he is. Okay, and then versus righties, it's Howard Johnson. And it's George Foster in left field. Okay, I think this looks right. And we'll let the AI set the benches. And we are good to go on that end. All right, so let's go to the standings page. Okay, there we are in the AL East. Again, the intent was to create some matchups with the Orioles. I'm dreading those now because we performed so poorly in the last sim. Let me go back to this checklist and make sure I did everything. Okay, import and enter players, adjust our settings and lineups. Okay, I think we're ready to run. We did the de facto do not disturb. Yep, I think we're good. All right, let us sim a month. And we are bouncing all over the place, which happens early in the season because everyone's so bunched together. But all our bouncing around has been in the bottom half of that division so far. All right, George Foster winning Player of the Week. That's nice for a player who is definitely past his prime. We are under 500 at 10 and 11, and already 5 games behind the Orioles. I wonder if we've played them yet. Looks like not yet. Oh no, the Orioles beat us 3 times. Jeez. Let's see what that looks like on our schedule here. Oof. We lost the Orioles 4-9, 6-12, and 3-4 in extra innings. Wow. Yeah, I'm very surprised at how poorly the 86 Mets are doing in all the 1969 Sims. In fact, all the late 60s Sims. Just not as good as how they performed in the early 60s. All right. Well, it's still early. It's 1 month in, but yeah, I mean, getting swept by the Orioles does not bode well. Let's do another month. Can you see in yellow any league leaders on the left? And Lenny Dykstra peeked in there for a minute, but that's it. Well, the good news is we are in second place, back down to third, back up to second, but our season's going better. Wow, a 35 scoreless inning streak by Sid Fernandez. Nice work. We are now in second place, only a game and a half behind the Orioles at 30 and 17. So things are turning around. It might have been that that was just a quirky season for us in our previous sim, but we'll see. Let's go. We are June 1st, so we will go to the All Star team announcements. Given our better season, maybe we'll have better showing in the All Star game too. All right. Ooh, we jumped up to first for a bit there, bouncing back and forth with the Orioles. Dropped down to third for a second. Oh, jumped up to first for a bit. Just a blink though. Oh, now that the Orioles lead is starting to extend a bit. I think it was up to 6 last time I saw it there. 8 game quality start streak by our fifth starter, Rick Aguilera, and a 37 game on base streak by Gary Carter, the kid, coming in with a 30 game on base streak. That's nice. All right, we have dropped suddenly to third place, 6.5 now behind the Orioles. We were kind of bouncing back and forth between first and second for a while. That's unfortunate. But we are at the All Star announcement, so let's see how those look. There we go. Here are the fan voting results. Oh, I keep forgetting there's an actual New York Mets team in there. So, oh, and we're in the American League. All right, so franchise time machine. Gary Carter coming in second in catcher voting. Nice. Um, that is it. And again, no pitchers. I really do think this pitcher dominant run environment is not doing great things for our 86 Mets. We saw it in 1968. We saw it in the other 69 sim, and we're seeing it here too. I mean, let's take a quick peek at the pitching stats here. Good in seven and good in second sim in a row where he's under 500. Where in other sims, he's been like 20 and 0, just dominating leagues, and just it here in 1969. Uh, Bobby Ojeda having a definitely a much better showing here at 14 and 5, and Sid Fernandez again at 10 and 3 tends to be the one that keeps things running here for the Mets. But yeah, Ron Darling at 8 and 4. And our bullpen ERA, especially for the era, pretty high here. Ed Lynch with a 4.56 and Randy Neiman with a 6.7. I think one person we're missing is Terry Leach, who in real life that year, I think went 11 and 2 or something. He had double digit wins out of the pen. He must have been a mid-season acquisition because he doesn't show up in these sims. Um, but maybe I should be looking at uh, the postseason roster, importing that roster instead, because then he would show up, and I think he would definitely strengthen the bullpen. Again, these are only issues that are coming out of because we're having a harder time in this 1969 run environment. All right, well, let's finish the day. Let's go back to the standings screen and finish the day. All right, nothing really changed there. And then we'll go to is there no home run contest this year? Oh, here it is, home run challenge. I had fun watching this last time, so here we go. This is what I was looking for last time. Just finish the current round. Just give me the outcomes. There we go. This is what I wanted. Tony Perez doing much better this time around with 16 to move on to the next round. And it does look like it is head to heads. All right, let's do the next round. Yastrzemski moving on, Frank Howard moving on. And Frank Howard wins it 8-7. All right. And let's move on to the All-Star game. And again, we'll go to the score screen and do a quick play. And the NL wins 8-4. Oh, wait, I totally forgot to. Let's look at our All-Star voting. Okay, so we did see these results. I think it was only Gary Carter who had any kind of showing, but let me go ahead and save these to a new document. And then that's the voting. Here are the rosters with the manager's choices. We're in the AL this time. Okay, Bobby Ojeda was added as a manager's choice. Gary Carter did not win the votes at catcher, but he was added. And that is it. So this is the second poorest showing. So our worst and our second worst showings in All-Star voting happened in 1969. There's definitely something either about this run environment or, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's got to be the run environment. It just doesn't agree with this roster. All right, so um, let's go ahead and back to the standings tree and let's sim out the season. I mean, this time at least we have a chance at the postseason. Let's do another month. Well, that games behind keeps going up. That's not good. So we made it to August 1st here. We are 10 and a half back. Let's go to roster expansion on September 1st. Oh, we're down to fourth. Back up to third, down to fourth. that the 2, 3, 4 spots are pretty tight, so we might see some bouncing around. But we are still consistently 11 games behind. 17 quality start streaks by Bobby Ojeda and an 8 consecutive on base streak by Tim Tuffle. Wow. All right. Okay. Well, um, playoffs seem unlikely at this point. We're above 500, but we're 11 games behind that powerful Orioles team. Let's go ahead and sim out to the end of the regular season. Yeah, we're more than a dozen games back here, so we are not going to make the postseason again. We're barely staying above 500, it looks like. Well, no, 540s. That's 16 games back. Gary Carter with a 7-game RBI streak. And yeah, we finished in third, 15 and a half games back of that powerful Orioles team. They did not win 118 games this year, though. They won 102. Probably because I doubt they got Bob Gibson this time, but we'll check that out. And let's finish the last. This is the last day of the season. We need to finish the last day of the season. And we finished 15 games out at 87 and 57. Screenshot this. And let's take a quick peek at the Orioles roster, see if they added someone. There's, oops. I was trying to look at the Orioles pitching staff. Okay, yeah, there's no suspicious additions here, but okay. I was just curious to check out if they had made any additions. Where can I see their transaction history? Oh, I think I'd have to go make myself the Orioles. So this is something you can do in the base game. You can change, especially if you're in commissioner mode, you can change the team you're on and then see what you would see as if you were managing that team. So where is the team history? Oh, transactions log. There it is. So did they do anything? There's a bunch of. Hey, Dukeston. So how's the offense look? Our offense is terrible, and our pitching gets worse as we get into like the late 60s. So in past sims, we were winning. The 86 Mets were winning 100, 110. One season they won 114 games in the early 60s, replacing the terrible Mets teams. Both sims in 1969 so far, double-digit games behind. Um, just weak offense and the pitching is really what's kind of kept us in the front most seasons, and the pitching just falls apart in 1968, 1969. So I'm trying to see. So in the last sim, where the 86 Mets replaced the 69 Mets, the Orioles acquired Bob Gibson during the season from the Cardinals. So the Orioles won 118 games. We would have made the postseason anyway, but I was just curious to see if the Orioles did anything like that this season. But I'm not seeing any big trades here. I'm seeing just a lot of minor league transactions. And how about at the trade deadline? No, nothing. So it looks like no blockbusters this year. I mean, the power is way down, I think, across Major League Baseball, but our power, I think, is disproportionately down for the 86 Mets. Yeah, it's just a real curious thing. My hypothesis was as we got closer to the year of the pitcher and everyone's pitching is better, the starting rotation for the Mets, which was, I think, a big differentiator in 86, just ceases to be a differentiator and just brings them back down to earth quite a bit. All right, so we took a peek. Let me go back to managing the Mets, or actually the In this sim, Dukeston, instead of replacing the 69 Mets, I put the 86 Mets in the Cleveland position. They were last in the AL at 64 and a half games back in the AL East. So it seemed like that's like the least relevant team in the AL. So we can replace them without making too many ripples. So we are in the AL East. I thought it'd be fun to have some showdowns with Baltimore, but frankly, they swept us in the first series of the season. Actually, we should check that out. If we go to, how did I see that? We were in standings, I think, and then went to team versus team. So the Orioles won 12 games against us, and we won 6 games against them. So they won 12-6 against us. Your Dixon says the AL West seemed attainable, only 5 games above record. So yeah, let's go check out AL West. Yeah, Kansas City still won 93 games, but you're right. It's a little more within reach. The third and last sim I was going to do tonight, which will be next, is I was going to replace the Expos. Only had 52 wins that year, and I thought the fun thing there is our 86 Mets would end up playing the 69 Mets 18 games. So I kind of want to see what happened there, but all that seemed fun when the Mets were doing really 86 Mets were doing really well in these sims. It almost seems pointless now because we're just like in the middle of the pack here. Um, but anyway, yeah, Mets against Mets. And here I was hoping, my initial hope of putting them in the American League was, maybe the Mets could unseat the Orioles and then it could be Mets and Mets in the World Series. But after seeing how that first sim went, that seemed like a pipe dream. And it didn't, it's clearly not going to happen here, too. So, all right, well, let's run the postseason. We'll go first. Let's sim to the beginning of the playoffs. So then we can open up. I don't think anything changed here, but I just want to screenshot just in case. And then we will go to the playoff coverage, playoff 3. All right, sim the first round. So it'll be the Royals against the Orioles and the Braves against the original 69 Mets. They managed to keep winning, unlike our 86 Mets. All right, true to form, the Mets and Orioles are meeting in this recreated 69 season while the 86 Mets are watching from home. All right. So at this point, I like to go game by game. We will still quick play them, but I just want to see how they go game by game. So let's finish today. All right. So the Mets are in Baltimore for the first game, Kuzman against McNally. And the Mets win 5-3. All right, Jason says he has always wanted to try doing this in the past, but it seemed pretty scary task wise. Watching it seems to get some pointers because it seems very fun. Oh, good, good. Yeah, the whole reason I'm streaming this stuff is I do this kind of stuff all the time, and I have for years in OOTP. And I thought I learned so much from the streams and benefited, especially on the Perfect Team side. I just started playing Perfect Team in December. That I thought, maybe I could share these and help people like you, Dukeson, who want to do this. And so I would recommend watch episode 14. That's where we took the all rookie team into 2023. We had done it a couple times before, but had problems with it. Just like weird things happening with the AI and like players being added that we didn't want. And I got to the bottom of all those things. And episode 14 shows you how to do this in a really clean way. Uh, the roster importation is still the same and it works really well, but the running of the season so that you can run the sim quickly without interruption, but also at the same time keeping the AI's hands off of your rosters and stuff. That's You can see how to do that in episode 14, the clearest. So if you do want to do this, I recommend checking that out and also ping me if you see me in any chats or join my Discord. You can ask me any questions. I'm happy to help you get the simulation that you want. All right, so the Mets, yeah, in 10, win 5-3. Wow, check out that 10th inning. So it's tied going into the 10th. Of course, it has to be. And we score three in the top of the 10th. The Orioles come back with one, but can't manage to catch back up. So 5-3 there. Of course, this is the original 69 Mets. So Kuzman, 6 innings, scatters 4 hits, 1 earned, a walk, and 2K. McNally with a great effort on the losing side, 6 1/3, 2 hits, 2 earned, no walks, and a K. And Ed Charles goes 1 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run. All right, so game two, again in Baltimore. We'll quick play this. It's Seaver versus Palmer. And the Mets win again, 4-1. And in real life, the Mets won 4 games to 1. So we'll see how close to form. And again, it's impressive. The 69 Mets won the NL East, made it to the World Series, and are up 2 games to none to the Orioles. The 86 Mets now 2 times in a row finish a dozen games back in the standings and just cannot recreate the season that the 69 Mets had. All right, this should be a travel day. Yep, no game. And then we'll go to New York. And this is Mike Cuellar at Nolan Ryan. And the Orioles win 3-1. Ryan takes a loss, 5 2/3, 3 hits, 2 earned, 5 walks, and 4 strikeouts. And Cuellar, 7 2/3, scatters 6 hits, no runs, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts. All right, so let's go to game four. Mets still up 2-1. This is Tom Phoebus versus Jim McAndrew. And the Mets win 4-3. Jim McAndrew, 6 innings, scatters 8 hits, only gives up 1 earned though, no walks and no. Wow, that's a stat line you don't see these days. 6 innings, 8 hits, 1 earned, no walks, no strikeouts. I can't remember the last time I ever saw that in like contemporary Major League box score. Boot Powell 3 for 4 with a run in the loss. All right, so this will be the last game of the Mets homestand with a chance to win it all. It'll be Dave McNally and Jerry Kuzman. And the Mets win it 4 games to 1, just like in real life. It's interesting that the 69 Mets perform so much better than the 86 Mets here in this run environment. This is making me wonder. I should do the reverse, bring the 69 Mets in the 86 and see what happens when we kind of flip the script a bit. Because the 86 Mets are really underperforming in 1969. All right, well, let's do the postseason awards. Oh, I like to go. Let me grab a screenshot of um, the playoff tree, and then I like to get the trophy shot here. There we go. And we'll capture this. All right, well, it's not the 86 Mets, but the 69 Mets still win the World Series in this sim. And let's go check out the postseason awards. So we do that from our mailbox. Let's make some room. And we will sim to the Great Glove Awards. Yeah, Deuce, I was wondering what kind of sim are you thinking about starting out with? There's so much you can do. I mean, move teams around, move players around. And I'm also going to peek in and see how I'm doing in the 6L. I've got that up on a different computer. Oh, I'm getting white text now for the 6L, so I must have gotten eliminated. I was up 3 games to none in the semifinal. Did I get reverse swept again? Oh no, that's right. I'm logged in through one account, but it's my other account that's in the semifinal. Okay, we swept the semifinal and are in the final of the 6L, but don't know our opponent yet. The MABs, the Mid Atlantic Brainstormers PAX only team, is up 3 games to 2 against the Metro Keys, who do really well in these tournaments. So, still waiting to see who we're going to play. And the game is still doing all the postseason cleanup work here. So before we can find out our awards, let's see. Dukeston is interested in an all-time teams run, maybe best players for each team ever, or even just as decade teams. No idea if it's doable, but yeah, that's definitely doable, Dukeston. In fact, one of the things I was going to do was, um, over time, I wanted to talk to, you know, other streamers or people in the chat who are fans of specific teams, get their all-time rosters for their favorite team. And if I do that long enough, we should get rosters for all the major league teams. And then I wanted to do an entire season where every team is represented by their all-time team. So it's definitely doable. Um, I thought it'd be fun to get input to get other, because I would consider them more expert on their favorite team than I would be. But if you want to do your own, I think that's fun too. I mean, part of the fun is like doing the research to put those rosters together. Like, I really like that stuff. I was a kid who was on the baseball team who was always reading the baseball encyclopedia. So, all right, our season score is now our lowest season score for any sim. 1969 is just kicking our butts. All right, so let's start doing some postseason awards. Yeah, so and I've done some of that before. I haven't done it on stream yet, but I've done it over the years. So definitely reach out if you have any problems running those sims. But what you're thinking of doing is definitely doable, and it's a lot of fun. All right, so let's go to the mailbox. Let's clean it out again, and let's check out. Yes, I want to delete. All right, we're gonna sim to the Great Glove Awards. Oh, okay. So make me do some roster cleanup here before it'll go to the postseason. I'm just going to delete these players because I'm not doing 1970 from this sim, so I'm not worried about it. Okay. Yeah, Deuce. And the other thing I was thinking was like, everyone has their all-time favorite roster, right? If I can get 30 people from the community um, to give me their rosters and what team they want to be, we can just like populate an entire league of all time. I mean, we'll have a bunch of Hank Aaron's playing against each other, but I think it'd still be fun and see like whose roster comes out on top. Um, yeah, so we're gonna sim ahead to Great Glove Award now that roster issue has been solved. All right, Keith Hernandez wins a Great Glove at first base. Last sim we had Gary Carter win one, so we're still getting some postseason awards. Let me copy this and paste it in. Yeah, a bunch of Babe Ruths and mantles. Absolutely. But I mean, that's part of the fun of it, right? Like you could, not that you could bring those players together in real life anyway, but um, even more so getting multiples on the same field. All right, so you got a Great Glove Award, just one. Oh, wait, I keep grabbing the NL. We're in the AL this sim, so I'm grabbing the wrong one there. Okay, there we go. Keith Hernandez representing the franchise time machine, getting a Great Glove. All right, next award should be reliever of the year. There we go. And we didn't get an achievement pop up, so we know we didn't win one, but maybe Roger McDowell's in the voting. and he is not. Jim Brewer of the Dodgers wins. No, comes in second to Joe Horner of the Cardinals. He went 9-9 with 22 saves and a 2.10 ERA. Okay. Well, for some reason, that email didn't copy. Copy email, and then paste. There we go. Okay. All right. Then the next award is Platinum Sticks. Yeah, that goes to show how harsh this run environment is on our team. No Platinum Sticks. And we'll move on to Rookie of the Year. So Len Dykstra, who is not actually rookie eligible, wins one. For some reason, every time I import a couple of players, including Roger Wittell and Len Dykstra, their major league service gets reset to 0. Again, we're in the AL. There we go. 22 of the 24 first place votes, more than double the next player on the list. So really not legit, but we'll take it. Okay, copied and pasted that. And then we'll move on to the Manager of the Year award. And this year, that award goes to Joe Gordon of the Royals. All right, then we'll do the top two awards. We'll take a quick peek at the stats, and then we will do. We'll drop the '86 Mets into the NL East of 1969. Cy Young voting, but Dukeson, when I set up the next sim, you'll get to see at least how to bring your roster in and everything. But I still recommend checking out that previous episode 14. It'll be it'll be on the VOD of my Twitch for a while, and I'm also exporting everything to YouTube. So find me in the chat, whisper me somewhere, or get into my Discord, and I'll help. I'll set you up with all that stuff. Okay, so Mike Cuellar wins the AL Cy Young Award. Bobby Ojeda from the Franchise Time Machine finishes 5th in the voting. And Sid Fernandez finishes 7th. But Cuellar swept the 24 first place votes. He went 25-5 with a 2.19 ERA, so cannot argue with that outcome. All right, and then the MVP, the other big one. And Reggie Jackson, 23-year-old Reggie Jackson in 1969, with 49 home runs, 133 RBI, and a 283 average. Can't argue with that. Swept the first place votes with 24 and beat Harmon Killebrew by 128 points. That seems like a well-deserved MVP award there. And did we finish anywhere in the voting here? I don't think so. Our offense was pretty terrible. Nope. But that said, let's look at our stats. Here's our pitching stats. Again, Gooden has been below 500 for both of these sims in 1969, and he's been like 20-0 in one of the others. Sid Fernandez still kind of holding his own here at 16-8. I'd be curious to know what about Fernandez's profile makes him still perform well in 1969, and what about Gooden's profile makes him fall below 500 in 1969. That's a kind of post-mortem I'd like to check out. Bobby Ojeda still pitches really well. Maybe it's a lefty thing because Ojeda and Sid Fernandez both. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Lefties versus righties, Dukeston. They're the only two who really keep up their performance in this 1969 run environment. And Gooden really falls off. Roger McDowell is still holding it there in the bullpen, 24 saves, 4-1 record, 3 holds, 2.26 ERA, and a 1.15 WHIP. All right, let's check out the batters. So only four in double-digit home runs, and swept my OPS. Ray Knight bringing it. He's platooning with Howard Johnson, so that's probably helping him. But he's bringing a 376 average and a 911 OPS. But other than that, it drops off pretty quickly. Hernandez almost 300 with 818 OPS. But Strawberry, his home runs are down. Again, a lot of this is to be expected in the pitching environment, but just no real offense to speak of. Gary Carr's the one actually who kept it probably closest to his actual 86 stats. All right, well, let's check out the league leaders too. I kind of want to see what that looks like. And I don't know why OTP defaults to combined when they show stats, but I always uncheck that. Yeah, again, I guess such a year of the pitcher, the highest batting average is a 298 from Frank Robinson. So that gives you an idea of. But the home runs aren't too suppressed. Reggie Jackson with 49. Yeah, Reggie hits 49. So why doesn't Strawberry hit more? Yeah, that's a good point. Or maybe it's if you bring this Reggie Jackson to 86, maybe he hits 70 home runs. We are nowhere on these leaderboards, and Reggie Jackson dominated them. Him and Killebrew really bringing it. Let's check out the pitchers. This is still when people are throwing tons of complete games too. So you see Cuellar leading the league with 16 complete games. I do like that when you bring pitchers into this era, like they do adjust, right? So like Bobby Hayes throwing 10 complete games, um, four shutouts. Right. Look at Cuellar with seven shutouts, almost doubling that's everyone tied for second there. I mean that he did put in a dominating performance. And then I'm kind of curious to see what went on in the NL, see how the actual 69 missed it. So Kuzman led the NL in ERA with 1.99. Seaver's right behind him with 2.02. Um, Seaver with 26 wins. Who led in strikeouts? How close was Seaver to a triple crown? Seaver was three strikeouts away from leading the National League in strikeouts. He was .03 runs behind in ERA, and he led the league in wins. So he was really just off of a triple crown season there. Impressive. Yeah, Dukesen in the previous sim where the 86 Mets replaced the 69 Mets, um, the Orioles acquired Bob Gibson during the season. So they went on to win 118 games. I thought that was interesting. All right, so I'm going to save this sim right here, and then we will do the third version, and then we'll call it a night, and we'll raid you into hopefully someone else playing OOTP. LOL seems legit. AI is going to AI. Okay, so we're going to create a new game, and this will be. These are all continuations of experiment number one, so this will still be called experiment one. But this time we're going to replace the Expos, who won 50 games that year. Might have been 52. So in Sim 1, we replaced the 69 Mets. Didn't do anything. In Sim 2, we replaced the worst team in the AL East. Again, didn't do anything. And now this time we're going to replace the worst team in the NL East. So, Dukeson, when you do this, it's up to you whether you want to turn real historical transactions on or off. I usually turn them off. I don't want anyone added to my rosters. The downside is um, you get things like the Orioles acquiring Bob Gibson. Now, the other thing you can do, and I'll experiment with this offline, is turn historical transactions on, but then suppress the AI from making transactions for your team. I'm going to make sure that works before I recommend that as an option. Or maybe I should text that on stream. That'd be an interesting stream. Every time I think I'm going to do something offline, I realize like I should just do it on stream so people can see it. and see if it works or not, and kind of learn together. All right, continuation of experiment one. This is 1969, version 3. We're taking over Montreal. Let me take a, while that chews and processes, let me take another quick peek into the 6L. You know what I should do? I should just log in as my 6L team that's still alive. Let me do that. You're not seeing this on screen because I have to do it on another account on another license on another computer. Otherwise, we'll lose the sim. Right. And so, for those of you who are interested in Perfect Team, with each license you can get through. You can create 3 accounts. Excuse me. I bought a second license to do streaming, and so that actually gave me another 3 accounts. And so, with you can only have one team per license in a given tournament. But if you have 2 licenses, you can have two. Okay, great. My low diamond Phillips team swept the semifinal and now is in the finals with the New York Metro Keys, a team that has eliminated me from many 5Ls and 6Ls. They do a great job of doing their drafts and managing their teams, beat up on me quite a bit. But hopefully we can take care of them this time. But I'm already going to get at least 3 points in Laptop Hound's monthly standing, so that'll go a long way to getting me back in contention in the 6L. All right, so here's that checklist. So build your roster, which we've done, and I've got it all in a text file. Start your season, which is what we're doing now, and now we're about to import and edit our players, adjust our settings, and then run the sim. So this time we're going to take over the Expos. And here's how we'll do that import. Preparing the destination in this case is just deleting out all the current players. And then we'll go to the free agent page and take all these additional steps to bring in our 86 Mets. So Dixon, when you put your team together, you will end up with um, a roster document that will look like this. The good thing is you can prepare this in advance. You don't have to be in OOTP even. You really just need access to baseballreference.com. And you'll put this together in advance and then you'll feed it into the game. All right, looks like we're ready to go here. So the first thing we'll do is, so my destination needs to be NYM. So we need to make a few changes to make Montreal NYM. So under game settings, we'll go to league settings, edit league structure, and in the NL East, Montreal is now going to be franchise time machine. And for us to be NYM, we need to change the Mets to NYN. and for National League. Not that it matters. I could change it to anything, I think, and it should still work. So with that done, we will, just to make sure it went through, we're going to change our ownership to the Braves for a second, and then go back to Montreal, and we are NYM Franchise Time Machine. Perfect. And let me just replace that logo so it's not confusing. All right, there's our new logo. Great. In real life, Strawberry never hit 40. Yeah, even in 86. So V Trudel reminding us that in real life, Strawberry hit 40. In 86, he didn't even hit 30. I think he had 28. Um, so, yeah, that Mets team, one of the things I've been saying since the beginning of this experiment is I think the only thing elite about the 86 Mets team is the starting pitching. The depth and the quality of the starting pitching staff is definitely elite. The real strength of that lineup is that it didn't have a ton of holes, but it also didn't have a ton of spikes. The biggest hole was probably Rafael Santana at shortstop, and even the biggest spikes. To your point, V Trudel, Strawberry was not really spiky. Like 28 home runs isn't a lot. Keith Hernandez hit 311, but without a ton of power. And then Gary Carter is probably your second best power option with I think mid 20s home runs out of the catcher position. So it was not an overwhelming lineup by any means. All right, so then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to delete out all of our current players. And the first time I deleted everybody. And it turns out we didn't need to do that because in our second sim, I just deleted the active roster people, and that seemed to be enough. Partly because we're suppressing the AI from doing anything with the rosters. So then I have a checklist here of things to do before we start. So let me make sure we do all those things. So Dixon, even though I've done this a ton, I still use this checklist to make sure I don't forget anything. So historic transactions are off. We need to turn off injuries and all-star popularity. And we do all those things from the game settings screen. So players and team. Turn off the injuries. That's the first checkbox there. And then under league settings and under options, we will turn off the importance of popularity and all-star voting. And also, I like to not let pitchers win the MVP award because they have their own Cy Young award. So we're all set there. And then the big one is the do not disturb. Whereas I used to use this do not disturb button, that then puts the AI in charge of your lineups. So instead, we're going to not use do not disturb and create a de facto do not disturb by unchecking all these edit autoplay things. Okay, so now we effectively get a do not disturb without giving the AI permission to change stuff. That was the big thing we learned over the last few days with our all-time rookies team. All right, and then just have to make some adjustments to the mailbox. Oops, major awards, not injuries. There we go. All right, I think we're ready to bring in our Mets. So we're going to go to the free agent screen where all this creating and importing happens. So Dixon says he was a teenager through Strawberry's career. I just remember it always seemed impressive when he swung. The bat seemed small in his hands. I don't think I ever realized he was never that big time power like other 40 homer guys. Yeah, he had that like in swinging the bat and running too. It was just like he just looked effortless. And I think in some ways that hurt him because I think some people got the impression he wasn't trying hard. And really it was just he had like an effortless swing and an effortless stride. And to some people, I think he maybe looked like he wasn't trying. I never thought that. I thought he was doing his best. And unfortunately, I think the off field stuff really, you know, hurt his career. So we're gonna import players from the historical database. The Dukes, and another thing you can do is when you put your all-time favorite players team together, you can create a player for yourself and name it after yourself and put yourself in there with them. There will eventually be a bunch of streams where I'll show how to do that because I always like to create teams with my friends, me and my friends in it, and then run us through the major leagues. So here's where you can add players one at a time at the top, but we're going to use that text file to just bring them all in at once. And this is why we had to mess around with the abbreviations for the teams because we're using this roster file which already had NYM in it. I could have redone it, but it would have taken some time, so this seemed like the better route to go. And we'll go ahead and import. All right, I have lost my first game of the 6L finals to the New York Metro Keys. Not a surprise. That dude always kicks my butt. It's funny too, like every 6L or 5L, we have different players. It's a different draft. Yet every time New York Metro Keys, same thing happens when I face Marshall Mice. He always kicks my butt. He or she, they kick my butt. Metro Keys, Marshall Mice, and the Mill Basin Yankees consistently just beat me, no matter who I've picked and who they've picked. Those three teams just always seem to have my number. Fortunately, I don't run into them all the time. So every once in a while, I'll win one of these. All right, historical player import succeeded, 25 players imported. And it's 25 instead of 26 because that was the roster size, I think, in 1986. So let's go set our lineups. We'll, as usual, let the AI set up the staff and we'll just make adjustments. Gooden's in this number one spot. Doesn't always do that. Did it this time. I really like how this has worked. It seems very kind of true to 1986, the outcomes do. So I'm putting McDowell and Orozco in dual closer roles and dual secondary setup roles. Seems to be doing what I want. And we'll have the AI set the lineups, which I will then kind of correct for accuracy. Mookie Wilson, Dykstra, platoon in center field. Wally Backman, Tim Tuffle, platoon at second base. Hernandez. We'll switch Carter and Hernandez. And then it's George Foster in left field. And Howard Johnson platooning with Ray Knight, third base. And Rafael Santana at shortstop. Great. And then we'll have the AI fill in the depth chart now that I made some changes to the starting lineup, and I think we're good to go. All right. I'll go to the standings page. All right, so there we are with the Mets. We'll see what happens here. This is interesting. And if we can underperform again, if the 86 Mets underperform again, there's definitely something about this 1969 run environment that just chews up the 86 Mets. All right, we'll go ahead and sim the month. So every time you initiate the sim, you're starting the season, so it'll go through a bunch of processing as it sets up the season. This is a normal delay. To be distinguished from when my system starts lagging because it's not powerful enough for streaming. All right, here we go. Okay, so 1 month in, we are only 3 games behind the actual 69 Mets. 11 and 10. We are above 500, which is better than we've done, I think, in the other sims this early. Interestingly, in the other two sims, the Orioles have kind of run away with it, especially early on. They are stuck in second place right now, 4 games behind the Washington Senators. So let's go ahead and do another month and see what happens. We were bouncing around between second and third. Seem to be pretty solidly in second now, but we are trailing the actual Mets. So Rick Aguilera with a 21 scoreless inning streak. And yes, we are in second place, but 8 games behind the actual 1969 Mets. And the Orioles have retaken their rightful place atop the AL East, 33 and 9, 33 and 19 with a 635 win percentage. But yeah, our 69 Mets are leading the majors in win percentage, 714. We're now at June 1st, so we're going to go ahead and sim to the All Star announcements. Here's what happens when you sim to a date. It actually doesn't sim that. So we're going to have to sim one more day to actually finish that part of it. But uh, since we started that, we've gone on a 14-game winning streak. Len Dexter has won Player of the Week, Rick Aguilera Rookie of the Month, and 3 quality outing streaks, but we can only see 2 here. Bobby Ojeda with an 8-game quality start streak, and Rick Aguilera with an 8-game quality start streak. All right, so we're now at the All Star announcement date, but we still have to sim this day to actually finish out the period we wanted. Okay, now at this point, let's go look for the All Star announcements. Okay, here we go. NL All Star fan voting results. Gary Carter second at catcher. The Mets have players in here, but we only have Gary Carter, it looks like. And none of our starting pitchers made it again. This run environment is just crushing our team here relative to other years. All right, well, I'm going to copy this and paste it into a document for record keeping. Okay, and then let's see who actually got selected to the All Star game. This will reflect additionally the manager's choices, the AI manager's choices. Let's see. We're looking for NYM. So Gary Carter did not win fan voting at catcher, but was selected. When Dukeson says when you look at those 5 All-Star starters, those guys are amazing. Durker, Gibson, Jenkins, Kuzman, and Marshall. Yeah. How about on the AL side too? Let's check that out. Cuellar, Headland, Cott, McDowell, and McLean. Yeah, I think the NL names are a little more impressive. But let's see if we got anyone on here. Carter was added, and he is our sole representative. Okay, so 1969, all 3 Sims have been our worst all-star representations too. This run environment just does not like the 86 Mets. I want to post on the forums too, because I know maybe some of the devs might chime in or some of the other players who do a ton of base game stuff. I'd be curious to see what they think. might be driving these poor results in 1969. Maybe before I do that, I'm going to do that reverse experiment where we take the 69 Mets and the 86. I think that might tell us a lot too. All right, so let's watch the home run challenge. Finish the current round. This is the first sim where Sal Bando has appeared in the home run contest and made it to the second round. And he's made it to the final. And he wins the whole thing. Wow. Out of nowhere. That's cool. I'm going to screenshot this. And then we will sim. Yeah, or Dukes said, or bring the 86 home run champ into. Yeah, he does. Yeah, that's a good idea too. Or take this 1969 Reggie Jackson into 86. Um, so we'll finish today. That should take us to the All-Star game. And we'll quick play the All-Star game. Gibson versus Cuellar. That's quite a matchup. Wow, and in a shootout, the NL All-Stars win 10-9 over the AL. Rico Petrocelli with 2 home runs. Let's see if Gary Carter got into the game. There's Gary Carter. Pinch hit, went 2 for 2 with a run scored. That's good. Let's go back to performances of the day. Johnny Bench 2 for 2 with a home run, 4 RBI, a run, and a walk. Petrocelli 2 for 5 with 2 home runs, 3 RBI, and a run. And Dennis Menke 4 for 5 with a triple and 3 RBI. All right, let's go back to our standing screen and do another month. Yeah, the fun thing is, as I do these sims, just the idea of figuring out, is it 86 is weak in 69 or is 69 stronger than 86 that's causing this? Like right off the bat, like another experiment idea comes out of this. So this tends to happen a lot where I'm running one sim and all of a sudden it'll trigger an idea for a different sim. Okay, that month was short because we were already in July. So now that we're in August, we'll sim to roster expansion day, September 1st. We are in second place, but almost double-digit games behind. The Orioles are really extending their lead. They're now 10 games ahead of the Tigers. And with a month left to play, we are 12 games behind the 69 Mets. So it looks like the 69 Mets and the 69 Orioles are still in a collision course. We have not done enough to change that. I'm curious to see team versus team. So we have won 4 games against the Mets, and the Mets have won 9 games against us. So we're 4-9 against the 69 Mets. All right, let's sim, I guess, to the end of the regular season. If we were closer, I'd start sitting week by week, but we're not close. We made it a little closer, but we're still 6, 7 games behind. All right, Darryl Strawberry with a 10-game run streak. Keith Hernandez with an 11-game run streak. Darryl Strawberry with a 7-game extra base hit streak. And Strawberry with a 4-game home run streak. Let's finish one more day because we're at the last day. We need to finish it. All right, so we finished 9 games behind. I mean, a respectable 96 wins, and we finished behind it Mets team that won 105. So if we go back to what actually happened, right, the real 69 Mets won 100 games, so they improved on that, partly by beating up on us. Who would have thought having the 86 Mets in division would actually help improve the 69 Mets record, but it did. This time around, we replaced the 52 and 110 Montreal Expos. So we did, not surprisingly, at least do better than they did. They finished 48 games behind. We finished 9 games behind. Yeah, Dukeson, you're right. 96 wins is a nice season for sure. Um, but when you compare it to like how we did replacing the 62 Mets, the 63 Mets, those early 60s teams, we usually won well over 100 games. So there is something we are down. But of the three 1969 sims, this is our best performance. So Dukeson, you might be good luck for these 86 Mets. Um, okay, so we sim that last game. So these are the final standings. So I'm going to screenshot this. Right. And then we will. Oh, I do want to screenshot the stats too, because if you go to the end of the season, it starts to look weird. So I'm going to take screenshots of these while they still look good. So pitching stats. Again, the start other than Sid Fernandez still continues to do well. Gooden at least is above 500 this season, so that's an improvement over his other two 1969 performances. But Fernandez continues to keep doing really well in these 1969 sims. He's the only one really carrying the weight for the Mets in these 69 sims. Um, and then let's check out the hitting. It's been anemic in 1969, continues to be so. Although this time, at least we had a 30 home run hitter in Gary Carter. Strawberry with 24, which is, I think, the best he's done in 1969. And at least we had a couple folks with OPS over 800, which I don't think we had two over 800 in this year. So still a weak offensive year. Again, the AI continues to Wally Backman. He continues to do well. And it did respect our wishes in terms of running the platoon, so that's nice to see. All right, so let me screenshot the batting stats. Okay, and then we'll run the postseason. Um, Average is way, yeah. I think, well, average is going to be way down the league because it is 1 year after the year of the pitcher. But yeah, it's probably disproportionately down for our 86 Mets for sure. Even Keith Hernandez hitting 287 that's off his 1986 pace. And then, Howard Johnson hitting 230. He wasn't a high average guy anyway, but 230 is pretty bad for him. All right. Let's sim to the start of the playoffs. Oh, maybe we're already close to there. I don't want to risk missing. So we're going to go to playoff coverage, playoff tree. Okay, so it's the Kansas City Royals from the AL West against the Baltimore Orioles from the East. And the NL, it'll be the Dodgers against the Mets. And we'll sim the first round. Okay, so the Mets advanced 3 games to 1, and the Orioles managed to get past the Royals 3 games to 2. And once we get the World Series, I've been doing these a game at a time. So I like to do that from the score screen. And all right. So we're going to start on the road. The Mets against visiting the Orioles is Jerry Kuzman at Phil Necro. And this time around, the Orioles win 3-2. Phil Necro 6 2/3, 5 innings, 1 earned, 3 walks, and 6 K. Uh, Kuzman didn't pitch terribly in the loss. 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned, 3 walks, and 4 K. And Don Buford went 2 for 3 with an RBI, a run, and a walk. All right. Yeah, we should check that out. So in July 30th, he was traded from the Braves to the Orioles for Andy Etchebarren and Bobby Grich. So this is the second time there's been a good catch, by the way, Dukeston. Noticing he was on the Orioles, I just kind of glossed over it, but that was a good catch. This is the second time the Orioles have acquired a top flight starter. In the first sim, it was Bob Gibson, and this time around, it's Phil Niekro. And obviously made a difference. He went 20 for the Braves, he was 13-5, and for the Orioles, he was 8-4. All right, so we'll go to the next game. And this is Nolan Ryan to Jim Palmer. And the Mets managed to win 6-4. Nolan Ryan, 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned, 5 walks, and 5 K. Tommy Agee went 2-for-4 with a home run, 2 RBI, 2 runs, and a walk. And Jim Palmer in the losing effort, 7 innings, 8 hits, but gave up 5 earned, 4 walks, and 6 strikeouts. All right, should be a travel day next. And then we will be in New York. It'll be Cuellar at Seaver. And the Mets win 4-2, despite a Frank Robinson home run. Tom Seaver goes 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts for the win. Cuellar goes 8 innings, scatters 7 hits, but gives up 4 earned, 3 walks, and 6 strikeouts. And Frank Robinson in the losing effort, 2-for-4 with a home run, an RBI, and a run. All right, game 4 will be Dave McNally at Jim McAndrew. We'll go ahead and quick play this one. And the Orioles win 5-2. So this is the first time in the other two sims the Mets did win 4 games to 1. So this is the first time uh, it's departed from that. So it's 2 games apiece here after game 4. Dave McNally, 8 innings, 5 hits, only 1 earned, no walks, and 4 strikeouts. Paul Blair for the Orioles went 2-for-4 with 2 home runs, 3 RBI, and 2 runs. And Art Shamsky in the losing effort, 2-for-3 with a home run, an RBI, and a run. All right, game 5. This is Niekro again against Kuzman. And the Orioles win 2-1 to take a 3-2 series lead. Phil Niekro with 7 strikeouts, giving up 1 earned run. Kuzman, the losing effort, 8 innings, only 3 hits, but 5 walks to give up 2 earned. And Don Mincher with 1-for-4 with a home run. All right, should be a travel day here, and then we're back to Baltimore. Potential series clinching win here for the Orioles. And they'll be sending Jim Palmer to the mound against Nolan Ryan. And the Mets win 4-0. Nolan Ryan starting for a combined shutout, 7 innings, 2 hits, no earned, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts. Don Mincher again, another good outing, 2-for-4 with a home run, RBI, and 2 runs scored. And then Jim Palmer in the losing effort. I think the control's been hurting Palmer in both of his starts. 8 innings, 7 hits, 4 earned, but 7 walks and 7 strikeouts. All right, game 7. 2 best words in sports. This will be Tom Seaver at Mike Cuellar. You can't ask for a better pitching matchup. Yeah, game 7 in the 69 World Series. The real one only went 5, so this is quite a change. And the Mets win it 4-1. Tom Seaver goes the distance. 9 innings, 6 hits, 1 earned, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts. Cuellar almost matches him, 8 innings and 6 hits, but gives up 4 earned on 4 walks and 5 strikeouts. Frank Robinson scored their only run on a home run and went 2-for-4. So I always like to then go to the playoff tree screen to get the shot of the trophy. And there it is. New York Mets win again. So I believe that's 3-for-3. The Mets, this actual 69 Mets, have won the World Series against the Orioles all 3 times. So all 2 times, because over the 69 Mets, we didn't even make the postseason. So the two chances the 69 Mets had, they won the World Series against the Orioles. The only way they could be stopped was when we replaced them with the 86 Mets. All right, so let's go to postseason awards. We'll do that from the mailbox. I'll delete all these out. Now, when we try to sim to the first award show, it will probably give us a roster issue. It's done that every time so far. But it's been easily addressed by just deleting a few people on the players designated for assignment list. Oh, there's another download in the 6L. And we are down 3-1 to the New York Metro Keys. They are on track to beat me again. Oh, at least I made the final, but I cannot get past those three teams in particular. Just always kicking my butt. All right, it's doing the postseason cleanup here. So once that's done, we'll do the awards. I'll save the sim, and then we'll wrap it up and raid somewhere, hopefully with OOTP playing. I'm hoping my system didn't freeze. Oh, there it goes. It was stuck on 0% there for a while, but sometimes OOTP can be a little slow. And a lot of times my computer can be slow. So I'm glad it's moving again. Yeah, Jason, I hope all this inspires you to go ahead and do those sims. They're a lot of fun. It's just great, like coming up with an idea and then you just make it happen in the game. And the great thing is, like every save, it's its own self-contained thing. So if you mess up, you can just toss it and start it over. In fact, if you do think you messed something up, I think the easiest route is to just toss it and start over, and then try to fix it. Especially if like you're in the setup mode. And this part's taking so long, I might actually lose to Metro Keys twice here and get knocked out while it's thinking. I've got 5.5 minutes to the next sim. Dukeson says, yeah, definitely we'll need to go back to your streams to find out how to make a team. Going step by step to get it right. Maybe next weekend when you have time. Yeah, great. The one thing is, episode 14 has every step once you've got that roster built. I don't know that I have a really good episode. Maybe the first time we do the all rookie team, but really all you need to do is like look up your players in baseball reference, and in the URL, that's where you'll find the player ID. And then the year, you just need to go through their stats and figure out which year you want. So presumably you'll be in baseball reference anyway to figure out which year you want to pick. So while you're there, you can grab the player ID too. Yeah, they give the code in the URL at the top of your browser. It's embedded in the so within Baseball Reference, when you type in the player's name, it goes to their page. Once you're on the page, the URL has their player ID embedded. The other thing you can do, and I can show you this, in every season sim, if you go to retired players, it'll show every player who played in the majors before that season. And so you can find it that way too. Okay, so our season score is 608, another poor score for our simulations. You think your first team will be an all-time Dodger squad, then taking them into sim different seasons. Yeah, that's the way I started doing this kind of stuff. Was like doing an all-time Met squad or doing my all-time favorite team squad, and then like putting them in different years. Like a fun one to put them in is 1927, because then you can get beat up by the 27 Yankees. All right. And I bet if you took 100 Dodgers fans and asked them to make their squads, I don't know that you'd have two identical rosters in the bunch. That's also part of what makes it fun. All right, so let's go to, we'll sim ahead to Great Glove Awards. All right, NL's Top Gloves. Now, it's a giveaway that we didn't get an achievement pop up, so we did not win one of these, but the Mets did. Mets won three, in fact. You want to see Koufax, Kershaw, and Hershiser and Fernando? Yeah, I mean, that's the best thing, right? Like, you get to see all these players that from across eras that you like. You put them all in the field together at their prime. That's gonna be the fun thing too when I do this father son game on Father's Day. Is it'll be these father sons, but both at their primes. That'll be, I think, the real fun twist. So I'm gonna save these Gold Glove results, and then we'll move on to I think reliever of the year is gonna be next. Mhm. Reliever of the year for the NL is Jim Brewer. Okay, I bet this is gonna annoy me. I'm gonna the last couple times too. Roger McDowell put in a great season and was not even close. So the winner, Jim Brewer, went 16-7, which is a ton of wins from the bullpen, by the way. 16-7 with 21 saves. And then if you look at our pitching, Roger McDowell 5-6 with 26 saves. Okay, there was one year where he had a sub 2 ERA and I think 30 some saves, and wasn't even in the vote in the top five for reliever of the year. So for whatever reason, Roger McDowell's being undervalued in 1969. But it is what it is. So I'll copy these results and save them to the file. All right, and then we'll move on to, I think it's going to be, is it Silver Sluggers? Platinum Stick. Platinum Stick horse. Oh, Wally Backman. The AI or the sim engine loves Wally Backman. Oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong email. Platinum Stick Award winners. Yep, he is the only one. All right, I copied and pasted that. And we will move on to the Rookie of the Year. Might be Lenny Dykstra again, even though he's not a rookie. And it is. I need to figure out how to fix that. I guess I could just manually go in and give him an extra year of service so he's not eligible. Oh, Rick Aguilera coming in third. He actually might have been a rookie that year. I don't think he was, but I'd have to check that. Okay, and then Manager of the Year, and then our two big awards, Cy Young and MVP. Gil Hodges of the 69 Mets wins the Manager of the Year. Good for him. All right, and then the two big ones, Cy Young, Jim McAndrew of the actual Mets. Oh, came in third. Oh, here, okay, first place, Jerry Kuzman. Unanimous, 24 first place votes. He went 21-8 with a 2.06 ERA. Okay. And then MVP. All right, Cleon Jones of the 69 Mets. Good job. He had 18 home runs, 84 RBI, and a 350 average. I think he had 340 in the real season, so he had definitely overperformed a little bit, but good for him winning the MVP, finishing ahead of Willie McCovey. All right, so we're officially at the end of the award, so I'm going to save the sim here, and I'm just going to do a quick spin through the league stats. I think we already looked at the Met stats before the postseason. We'll do a quick spin through the league stats and then call it a night. Yeah, Jason, you can find the VODs for at least for episode 14 still on Twitch, and then the others are up on YouTube. But if you can't find them, I can help you. If you search Franchise Time Machine on YouTube, you should be able to find them. I think I have everything up to episode 11 or 12 exported. I was having a problem exporting today, but I'm hoping to catch up and get the rest exported tomorrow. All right, let's look at so the league stats are here under MLB. You can go to statistics. And the default, for whatever reason, is combined. So you're going to want to split them out into leagues. So let's look at the NL stats. There's Wally Backman. Sim Engine loves him. And yeah, we did not finish in the tops of anything, but William McCovey with 47 home runs. Jimmy Wynn with 124 RBI. McCovey with a 1002 OPS. Cleon Jones leading the league in hits with 226. And I wonder what happened in the AL. Let's check that out. Fred Carroll. So they had five guys hit 40 home runs. That's impressive. And Boog Powell with 145 RBI. Petrocelli with a 1042 OPS, leading the league in that stat. Oh, you just subscribed to my YouTube page. Thanks, Dukeston. You actually might be the first, so appreciate that. Yeah, all right. And then let's check out some pitching. NL pitching. Sid Fernandez just 2 games off the pace there. See, Roger Marisol led the league in saves. It's not even mentioned in the NL reliever of the year voting. I wonder if it's because he's a co-closer. It's not even considering him. I've noticed that in the past when I'd sim seasons where if someone wasn't in the closer role at the beginning of the season, that they just would get ignored for reliever of the year, even if they became or were acting as a closer and had like a lights out season. The AI would never pick them. All right. Well, I don't really see anything super interesting here. I do appreciate Dixon that you noted that Phil Necro trade because that was really interesting to me. Um, yeah, so I think we're going to call it a sim. It is saved. So here are some upcoming topics we'll be working on the streams here. All-time great second year seasons. So instead of sophomore slumps, we're going to call it sophomore studs. Um, I will on stream kind of look into what a so I have a team called Low Diamond Phillips, and I was thinking about making it into a theme team and wanted to see kind of who might be on the team if I did that. So it's anyone named Lou, Diamond, or Philip or Phillips, and anyone with a low diamond card, and then anyone with uh, a name matching one of his roles, but each role can only make one player eligible. So that's kind of what. So basically, it'd be like going through IMDb, looking at his roles and the names of the characters he played, and then what cards might match up to those. Dukeston, thanks. This was fun. I'll keep my eyes open for you when you're streaming. Awesome. I'm usually on at 10:30 Pacific time, 10:30 p.m. And that often coincides with Ezra Denny going offline, and so he's been kind enough to raid into me. But when I am on, it's usually around that time. And I've been on most nights just because this is when, after my wife and kids go to bed, I stay up for a little while longer doing this. So yeah, most nights around 10:30 p.m. Pacific, you can find me. And then we'll do a game called, we'll continue doing the 86 Mets. I think we might flip it, do the 69 Mets, replace the 86 Mets based on what happened today. And then there's a game called Revisionist History I play. We'll play that again. And then Raise the Roof, Raise the Floor. If you want to learn how to use Editor to change player attributes, that's a good one to watch. That's where I give each player on the roster 100 points to boost their attributes or boost an attribute. In the new game, it'd be 220 points. So you can either like shore up a weakness and make it a strength, or you can take a strength and make it amazing. So that should be a fun one. And really, that's just a chance to show people how to use Editor. All right, so I think that's it. Let me put the episode title slide back up. This is what you're watching tonight. Our 86 Mets replacing the 96 Mets in 3 different ways. And I'm going to look for someone streaming OOTP to raid into. Is anyone out there? We might be the only ones. Yep, we're the only ones streaming OOTP 25 today. So I guess we will just raid into Alf again, which I actually enjoyed doing yesterday. It was the first time I did it, and it felt like a bit of a rite of passage as a streamer. All right. I don't know if anyone else is still on here, but I know Dukes and you are. I appreciate you joining and participating in the chat. It always makes it a lot more interesting. And good luck with your sim. I'm around if you need help. And anyone else, good night and see you next time. Oh, did I not use the raid function correctly? Let me try that again. I wonder if is Alf not on? All right. Well, I don't know any of these other people enough to raid into them, so I guess I'll just shut it down tonight and um, have a good night.